With that, I can say with a straight truth that I don't have relatives in Pueblo County to create nepotism. So in this case, if there's suspected nepotism or cronyism, I don't have the relatives to do it. That's not always a plus. I need more votes. I wish I had more family in Pueblo County. But I don't know if it's an accusation that our commissioners have created nepotism or cronyism. I cannot say. I look forward to the opportunity to being in office and working with the county employees to determine that. If we have loose standards on how we determine relationships, be it related, married, etc., between county employees, maybe we need to increase the transparency when we hire those employees. I look forward to taking on that issue as a Pueblo County Commissioner.
Okay, thank you, Steve. You know, I think in everything that I've ever done, it's truly been that lead by example. You can't expect anybody else to do what is expected if you yourself do not. And so the first thing that I would do is let's review the policies. You have policies in place and they should be followed. So let's make sure that it doesn't allow for that situation to occur. I can't say if it has or not, but let's make sure that the policies are there, and then you enforce the policies and you review periodically just to make sure that those policies are in place. When elected as commissioner, if it's determined that there are some issues, then let's put together some employee groups, let's have some conversations, and let's be thoughtful on how we can move forward, because these individuals may have jobs, but let's make sure that their relative is not supervising them. That's where oftentimes the problem might occur. The other thing is something that I think would be beneficial for all elected officials or candidates that are running is to develop an ethics course. And it would be volunteer. You would just have the opportunity, but I think it helps spark that idea of what, as an elected official, and that the fact that you are a public servant to serve the public, what that truly means. And I did something very similar when I was on School District Number 70 Board of Education. I developed a leadership program for potential school board members. And it was well received within our district, but was also well received nationally. I was recognized nationally for this program, and then had the opportunity to actually present it to the international world at Oxford, England. So I think that it's very important that we work with all the elected officials so they have a true understanding too of what those policies mean and how you implement them ethically.
We need to ensure that the county is serving the public. County employees have the best and closest relationship with the public, especially those clerks that register your vehicles, the sheriff's deputies that may pull you over for a ticket. But every county employee should feel like they can come into a county commissioner's office and voice a complaint or concern. They should also be able to come in and offer ways to save the county funds and improve services without fear of retaliation. I did that as a state representative, I'm proud to say, and I will continue to do that as a county commissioner here in Pueblo County.
Sometimes employees need to feel safe that it's okay to share that information, and when they're first getting to know you, they may not just come and knock on your door. But I am putting together an opportunity that anyone can contact me as a commissioner, and they can share where their concerns are anonymously. It would be done through email. It would not be able to be tracked. I'm very, very fortunate that I have a son that loves to do programming, and that can be developed. And so that is an area, too, that I think would be truly beneficial, that individuals can share anonymously what their issues and their concerns. So it's another way to have conversations.
Okay. Debbie, you'll handle this question first. Are there any areas of county government that could be merged with the city government in order to save money and avoid duplication of services?
Well, I think there's good examples already of some of the things: the city county health department, the city county library, and regional building. What I would think, I know that there's been research done in the past. The 2010, because I actually served on one of those committees, put forward some recommendations. But the problem is that staff wasn't involved to a great detail of those impacted departments. And so that may be the best place to start, is to review where it first makes sense. Bring together a group of staff and let's figure out how we can make this work, whether because there's different salary structures or different work programs, let's figure out where it makes, and then start with one program and do a pilot, see how that worked, how did that go through, and then you can replicate it through other areas. There's been some conversations about, purchasing being easily done, but let's look at some areas that we can enhance and make sure, because neither county or city, and I think the city is actually facing a huge deficit. So let's see how we can work together to be much more efficient with the taxpayer dollars, because it's coming from you. We need to make sure that we're using it for your best interest.
Thank you. I'm excited to talk about this because I get to talk about trucking. I grew up in a trucking family. My grandfather had 4 freight lines. It was a pretty competitive business, and I can tell you a lot about competing with Canada on that too. It was tough. But, point of the story, in the Colorado legislature we had 3 departments of the state, the PUC, the Department of Revenue, and the State Patrol, all doing motor carrier safety in our ports of entry, on the roadsides. While in the legislature, I had a chance to review why do we have 3 parts of the state government doing the exact same job. I'm happy and pleased today to tell you that the Department of Revenue Services in the ports of entry and roadside public safety with motor carriers is currently being merged into the State Patrol. We will have one department of the state interpreting the rules, regulating the rules, and ensuring that public safety is maintained in the motoring public regarding freight movement. I'm pleased to say that I already have experience in ensuring watching over the taxpayer dollars, merging departments that make sense. That makes sense. I do believe we can probably do that between the city and county. One of the first places we could probably look at is purchasing items, paper, supplies throughout the city and county. I would like to also see us have an incentive to purchase locally. With that, we can do better, I'm sure, for cost savings, because we have to, and we should expect our elected officials to find those savings to ensure the services are delivered in a quality fashion.
One of the things as far as is also to get the voice of the other elected officials that are within the county. They could also bring to the table of what their thoughts and their ideas. So let's make sure that they have a voice. I did something similar when I was with School District number 70 and working with School District number 60. And we were able to bring forward items that we were working on within print, if it made sense for the print shop. They had a large capacity, which we did not, so we were able to maximize between both school districts. So it's done. You just have that communication, and you listen, and you bring the parties to the table that really make the difference of implementing what you want to do.
Anything else? Okay. You'll handle the next question, Buffy. What can the county do specifically to attract more private sector jobs?
We need to look at our economic models. We have the highest unemployment rate on the Front Range. We've watched our neighbors grow all the way from Fort Collins down to El Paso County. In an earlier question, we asked about the half-cent sales tax. When we created the half-cent sales tax, it was in 1982. We have to change the model we utilize to bring businesses to Pueblo. We also need to ensure the first plank in our economic development plan is to maintain the jobs we already have here in Pueblo. Work with the local businesses that exist today so they can be here tomorrow. We need to invest in our infrastructure, quality of life, to ensure that companies want to stay here past the time that we incentivize them to. We also need to look at how we actually want to move freight in and out of Pueblo. We have a company that's coming in to manufacture a significant product. How do they get that product to market? We have the largest storage yard of the Union Pacific Railroad anywhere in Colorado. We need to be able to leverage our community in working with the Union Pacific to open up that Tennessee Pass line so we can directly ship freight west out of Pueblo instead of having to run it all the way up to Denver to catch the Union Pacific's main line in Wyoming. When you have a way to move freight, you have a better opportunity to attract manufacturing. We also need to make sure that we ensure funding for our CSU Pueblo and Pueblo Community College. I sit on the board of trustees for Adams State University, and we know state funding is very fragile at this time. It is probable that we could actually lose public funding from our state government to our universities and colleges. We need to be prepared in our community ahead of that curve to ensure we have the best higher education of anywhere in the state. That attracts and maintains jobs.
Okay, thank you. So as your county commissioner, I would help existing small businesses. We have the economic gardening, so let's grow what we've got in place now. Let's help them be successful. Also, I would streamline business requirements. Right now, for an example, if you're a restaurant and you want to open up, you first go over to the regional building, then you got to go over to the health department, and then you have to go down for a sales tax license, then you have to go to another department, and then you go over there. I'm sorry, in the electronic world, can't we do all that through technology so that person goes to one place, no matter where it's at? They can do a little checkoff, and they've got all those things in place. And then also give them a printed sheet of exactly what they need to do, when, where, and how, so they can accomplish that in a timely manner, so they can open their doors, because the faster they open their doors, the more jobs that they're going to bring to us. We're a college town. Let's utilize our university. There's some superb degree programs at our university. Let's start recruiting the companies here that align with those degree programs, and let's bring in some professional companies that pay those higher wages. Also, just up the road is the Space Foundation. The space industry is taking off in the private sector. It has to do with the fact that satellites are going up left and right, and a few are coming down, so they have to replace them. So let's look at some mom and pops manufacturing. It works. They can make little nuts and bolts or specialty wires, and so we can start a whole new industry here in Pueblo. And then let's make sure that we provide them assistance of what they need, and then get out of their way so they can do their job. That's where we oftentimes stop them, because we're stagnating them either by not letting them open on time or requirements that really doesn't impact the safety of our community. Safety of our community is always going to be first in my eyes, but there's a lot of things that we require from our businesses that's not around safety.
We know we're expecting an influx of families and servicemen returning from the military to our community. We need to focus on making sure our veteran services communicate. We need to attract jobs so that those returning from the military are ensured employment in our community. We need to go on record and be the place that veterans and veterans' families want to return to. They want to return to Pueblo County, Colorado, because we will have the best services for the returning servicemen and women and their families. Collaboration through those services is the key to ensure that happens. And I look forward to working with the veterans groups to make sure we can maintain quality jobs for our returning families and veterans.
We need to make sure that we have jobs for everyone. Our kids are living in poverty because there's not the jobs here in the area. And so it's important that we put together procedures and policies that help